Our job every day is to try to kick somebody's ass. I mean, that's why we're here.
That is caught! Left center! Reds win! And this ball is launched. High and very deep to right, long gone. It's second of the night. Ellie De La Cruz.
Short lead for Pena. Larkin drills it. Do you believe this? That's going to be gone! Back to back! Walk-off home runs! How about this? He's back! He's back! He's back!
And a swing and a drive! Deep left field! This one belongs to the Reds!
Swung on and hit deep to left field.
That ball is going to be gone! Home run! And the Reds put it tied to score!
Goes to second one. Around to first. Got him! Double play! And the Reds sweep the Cubs. Breaking ball. Hit high. Hit deep. Way back there. And gone! Into the second deck and left. Christian Encarnacion Strand walks it off. Karcher does it in his major league debut. He gets the final 3 outs, and the Reds get an extra inning win. A thriller 5-4.
Swung on, fly ball, hit the deep right field. That ball is going to be gone. A grand slam home run by Mike Cameron.
2 outs, 2 on. Reds down by 1. Larkin down the line. It's a winning. It's a winning. Here comes Tucker. Here comes Steins. Larkin's won the game. Barry Larkin gets mobbed. Look at this scene. It's synergy.
The stretch, the pause in the pit. And a line drive, base hit left center field. A single for Aaron Boone. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won 8 in a row.
Kobayashi with a long look turns it loose and
Dunn hits it to deep right. It's all over. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won their 5th game in a row. They've defeated the Cleveland Indians on an Adam Dunn 3-run home run, 4-2.
in on the corners at first and third. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Royce Ring pitching, no bunt. Ground ball
By the third baseman into left field. Jay Bruce rounds third. And this one belongs to the Reds.
That's hit pretty good. Guess what? He doesn't need speed. That's gone. He's the king of the Queen City tonight.
with 1 out here in the 11th inning. You sure got to go now.
Swung on, pull down the left field line. That ball is going to get the winning run in. Here comes Jay Bruce rounding third, heading toward the plate. And this one belongs to the Reds.
Huge situation for Votto. Why you paying the big bucks to deliver the goods with 2 outs in the 9th inning? Can he do it? In the gap right center field, and Votto delivers the goods.
Hit deep center field. Hank Hill going back at the warning track. Oh, it's gone. Joey Votto is delivered.
Welcome to Chatterbox Reds. I'm Alex. He's Sam. I, for one, cannot believe we are in this spot tonight. I'm not talking about the Reds. I'm talking about Sam and I. We signed off last week saying, nope, it's over, guys, pack it in. But the Reds surprised us all, swept the Chicago Cubs, and the Mets faltered again, and now they're tied. I'm sure everyone here knows it. I know we have quite a few in the chat already. So if you're here, you know where we are. The Reds are tied for a wild card, or tied, but with the tiebreaker, the Reds would be in the playoffs today if they started, heading to LA to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Sam, I would ask you, but I know how you are. What's going on, man?
Yeah, you said it best. The past like 4 weeks, we've just so happened every Tuesday. Seems like the Reds were coming off, either a sweep in Oakland or just whatever, down in the dumps. I mean, 6 games back at some point in September. I think September 6th, you're 6 games back of the Mets. And then in 17 days, you make that up and get to a tie. You got the tiebreaker, so you're in. I mean, there's not a better time for the Reds to be playing their hottest ball of the season. 5 straight wins. You get a 4-game sweep against the playoff team in the Cubs. I mean, that is impressive. They've gotten wins in every way possible. Yeah, I'm just hyped. I'm so hyped for this. I'm looking forward to seeing what GABP looks like. You've seen kind of on social media, the Reds players, the Reds media team, they've been really hyping this up, trying to get as many fans in the ballpark. I'm even going tomorrow. I'm making the drive from Bloomington, Indiana. hopefully the rain stays away a little bit. But yeah, I'm hyped. I'm looking forward to see Singer go, and I'm trying to get 6 straight here. Highest win streak of the season. Let's go for it tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge game. Hopefully the crowd show up. I thought about going down, but, we have our show to do.
Exactly.
And we were down there, me and my family, we were down there on Saturday, saw a great win.
Thank you.
Again, Wallace family ended the season 6-0. And it's just been a fantastic season for us there. And we're looking forward to tonight. Tonight's a big time matchup. You wouldn't think so with the Pirates, but we have to win the game. The Reds have to pull this off and continue the momentum. I've been telling everybody who brings this up to me, Sam, this isn't like win 1 or 2. And we'll get to the whole, how everything's going to work out possibly at the end of the show. But this is going to be a night by night thing, which makes every night important because the magic number, and again, for those who aren't familiar with that, it's a combination of losses from the teams below you and your wins as a team. I believe it's 6. So every win from the Reds knocks one of those down. Every loss from the Mets or the Diamondbacks knocks it down as well. So tonight, the Reds could be a magic number 4. If the Mets, Diamondbacks lose and the Reds win, we'll talk about that later. Sam, let's talk about this weekend. You had a couple notes you wanted to bring and some shout outs that you wanted to touch on from the hitting side of the team.
Yeah, obviously we mentioned 4-game sweep of the Cubs. They did it in every way possible. You have 2 1-0 shutouts where you see Hunter Green go off, obviously. And then you see the home run spurts in Saturday, clutch home runs. I think a season high 5 home runs from the guys. Friedel, Stevenson have kind of the clutchest. But yeah, I just kind of want to highlight. I think Ellie he looks a lot more like Ellie. He's rounding first hard. You even saw the home run right after Steer passed him. He immediately ties him again. We know Steer then goes again, hits another one the next night to take the lead again. But Ellie's home run drought over at, 1 million at bats or whatever it was. But it's good to see him going back. And then, Tyler Stevens had hit on the game you were at on Saturday.
His home run was electric.
That was awesome. You already have the lead at that point, but to extend it even more, to then hand it to Pagan, who shut it down, and then unavailable the next couple days, and Santillan stepped up even more. So I know you want to highlight some of the pitching. And
while we get to the pitching, before we get to my the guys I want to highlight from the weekend, just that stood out to me, maybe some of the ones that haven't been mentioned or have been in some cases. Let's talk about Pagan real quick. I'm no wrestling fan. I know I maybe know one wrestler of the WWE style. I have never really gotten into that. But I believe Pagan's walk-up song is a wrestler's walk-up song. At night, with everything flashing, that is the coolest thing that ballparks are doing now. Kind of the walk-up with the flashing lights for the closer. If Aroldis Chapman had that back, 10 plus years ago, it that would have been killer. Emilio Pagan is good, but you have that.
Talk about intimidation for Chapman.
Oh my gosh, that would have been just icing on top of the cake. Anyway, let's talk about some pitching that kind of stood out to me. Obviously, the obvious, Hunter Green, fantastic.
Yeah.
There's only been a few games that I've watched in my fandom, going on 20 plus years of pitchers who have pitched that well in a game like this. Trevor Bauer, no one likes to talk about him anymore, but in 2020, he had a fantastic outing at the end of the year that really propelled the Reds to clinching that year to the playoffs. Johnny Cueto, I'm sure, had a couple of just rock star games. And of course, Homer Bailey. Homer Bailey has the 2 no-hitters everyone talks about, but the pitching performance, game 3 of the NLDS in 2012, I was there, was even better than those 2. So just a fantastic performance by Green on Friday. A couple other ones, and I was worried about this going into the month. But wow, the bullpen. The bullpen's been
Yes.
fantastic, especially Sunday, with Nick Martinez going 2 1/3 of perfect. But a couple other guys who I've not been too high on. I am the low man on Graham Ashcraft, and in fact, I was afraid on Saturday he was going to blow the game. Sam, do you know how many? I know you weren't able to watch it, but guess how many pitches he threw his inning?
Oh, I saw Sunday's game.
Well, how many? No, but Saturday's game.
Oh, on Saturday?
Yeah.
8.
3.
3.
3 ground. I mean, it was 3 ground ball outs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously that's the one thing I'm not a high on him with. I would prefer him to strike guys out. But Saturday and Sunday, Graham Ashcraft, fantastic.
Yes.
But the other guy who has really turned into something is really the third young bullpen arm that we've had this year, Connor Phillips. He has turned into a high leverage reliever. Now, which I get. I'm sure Francona's going to take a while to really trust him, but he's a guy who is probably going to be called up in those high leverage spots. And my last guy here, Chase Burns, was called in to do a high leverage spot.
Yep.
Now, what I'm interested in kind of watching from afar, because the Reds are going to make the playoffs, let's not make bones about it, is how they treat Burns. We know that he has been told of when he will pitch. So are they going to pair him up with somebody? Is that all go out the window during the playoffs? Because he pitched behind Littell, and he was supposed to go 2 innings. He didn't make it out of the second inning, but he was supposed to. And then I was listening to Mr. Goldsmith, and he mentioned that the Reds want to keep it a 2-inning guy. Time will tell, but it's something I'm watching from afar. But that first inning was fantastic. Sam, let's hit this series. Enough with the Cubs. Yeah. They're hopefully going to help us out this week against New York. Let's talk about these Pirates.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, obviously the bottom of the NL Central. They've been either 4th or 5th the past, since 2023. But since 23, they've had the Reds number. They're 16-20. The Reds are against the Pirates in that stretch. So you see them at the bottom of the standings, but the Reds have had their troubles with them. They've had a lot of bad blood,
Yep.
Since, the mid 2010s. So I think, the Pirates, I think there's not a better team other than the Reds than they'd want to play spoiler against. I think they'd take a lot of satisfaction in ending the Reds' hopes. So they're playing for a lot of pride here. They got their guy Skeens going tomorrow. Obviously, their ace, Cy Young favorite in the National League. But, the Reds cannot take this series lightly. I think this is obviously every game from here on out is the biggest game of the year because you're just trying to match the Mets.
Yep.
But this first game is absolutely huge. You don't want to have built-up pressure for Skeens tomorrow. And you're facing a guy in Oviedo who we'll get to later who, the Reds have had his number somewhat. He doesn't have great stats, but he's a young guy who's got some good stuff. And he's coming back. He missed all of last season, but it's definitely a series you can't take lightly. The Pirates, their offense has not been great this year. So if you score some runs, you'd like to think the Reds have a good chance. But, they won 11-0 against the A's, a team that the Reds just got swept by this past weekend. So even with that
11-0, I shout out Nick and Mike. Last night did a preview for this morning. I think Nick mentioned that the Pirates have only scored less than 3 runs a game.
Yes.
So this is, you go in, the Reds, if they score 4, I've said it from the get-go, the Reds can score 4, they win games more often than not. So this is another one. But, I'm going to give another Chatterbox face some credit here. Reed Mouse said earlier in the season that the Pirates weren't just a trash team. They actually had some pieces, and actually I agree with him. Obviously their pitching is fantastic.
Yeah.
And they're hitting, obviously they've scored less than 3 runs. a game. But like you mentioned, they're going to score some, they scored some bunches, 11-0, but they got some talent on this team. I just think it's untapped, and some of these guys just aren't playing their best ball, if you will, this year. But, I think O'Neal Cruz still kind of scares me a tad. Brian Reynolds is a Reds killer.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to say his name wrong, but the third baseman Triolo has hit better than Ke'Bryan Hayes since the trade, at least the old Ke'Bryan. I'm not sure about the Reds Ke'Bryan version, but they have some pieces, and they got some. They have less power than the Reds, but I'm always afraid of Brian Reynolds. And O'Neal Cruz can hit a ball in the river if it's in the right spot.
And Horowitz is a guy in the middle of their lineup too, who's got probably the best numbers out of their team this year. But you mentioned Reynolds. That's one of those Reds killers that comes to mind. So a little bit scared of that.
Yeah. And it just, it's just a perfect time to be a Reds killer. So
yeah,
I have all the faith in the world, as our good friend, Eugenio Suarez says, good vibes only. We're going good vibes only the rest of the year. Let's talk about this lineup. Obviously some changes. Give me a couple things that just point out to you, and then I will share my 2 cents. Hopefully we differ so we can have some conversation.
You've got a lot of guys in different spots. Lux batting third, Ellie fifth, McLean sixth. Those kind of stick out. So this just shows it's now or never. Francona's been a guy who likes to keep guys in the same spot for comfort. Keeping Ellie in the 3-hole. That's why we saw him there for most of the year until the struggles came. But throw all that aside. Francona's putting guys where he believes they should be. And, I agree for the most part with this lineup. You don't see Sal Stewart in there, which last week I would have definitely been upset about that. But, now you can't take Steer out of the lineup. Hottest hitter.
Exactly.
3 home runs last series. And even Lux, I don't mind him hitting third. We talked about it a lot last week. Who else are going to hit third? Because Ellie has underperformed. And then, Lux against a righty, even though the power's not there, I feel pretty good about him making contact with the ball and just, moving runners, which the Reds are kind of prone to doing. So,
exactly. Now, a couple things that kind of stood out to me is, honestly, I wasn't too shocked. You mentioned it. You're not going to replace Steer right now. For the Reds on the year, Francona has not pinch hit like our former manager David Bell did. So a lot of people are like, why play the matchup or the platoon? But Saturday again down there at the ball game, and I was thinking that it was a late in the game, and Lux was coming up, and then they pulled him. It would have been a lefty on lefty matchup, and they pulled him and brought in Andujar. Like Lux was he was warming up, did the whole like, I'm going to warm up, but it's fake kind of thing. And it got me thinking, whether it's manager speak and AKA BS or not, when pushed about Will Benson, Francona said, I like him on my bench. It makes our bench deeper. Okay, let's take a step back. Not much of an excuse, right? I'd rather have Benson, especially against a righty. I'd rather have him, hitting 3 times. But it makes me wonder on this Lux, if I do Sal Stewart at DH, it doesn't give me the opportunity to pinch hit Andujar if there's a lefty that comes up. I know that sounds silly, but is that what they're thinking? They want the best matchup for the DH spot, whether it's Andujar and Lux, and that's just who's sharing it. They're doing a straight platoon. And then again, they brought in Stewart for an injury. They moved Steer to outfield, and Stewart got an at bat. But you're just not going to move your hottest hitter out of the lineup right now with Spencer Steer. Another guy I just want to shout out real quick, McLean, fantastic lately. And then I'll touch on John here.
Yeah.
This is going to be a nail biting series, and the rest 6 games, they need his defense there.
Yes.
He has to play third base, and I'll take it for whatever it is. I mean,
And McClain scored the only run in Sunday's game with that double off the wall, and then Lux drives him in.
yep.
Yeah, he hit that ball hard. I mean, he hit that as good as he could. It almost got out for, it was probably around 20 degrees launch angle, and he just smoked that. So his defense and his offense too.
Yeah, and McClain's been doing really well. Sam, do you want to touch on the pitchers for this series and the matchups, and then we'll jump into?
Yeah,
I see some in the chat. I see a lot of chatter about the math problem here. The magic number math problem, and we'll talk about that in the last 5 or 6 minutes. But Sam, hit us with the pitching matchups and
quickly before I get into pitching.
Yeah.
I just do want to mention Ke'Bryan Hayes. He's 0 for his last 20, which Optimistic John mentions here. Hopefully we get a revenge type series against his former team who traded him at the deadline. You'd love to get Hayes. Obviously he's in there for the defense,
Well,
best
this
third
is
baseman in
the
the league.
second series, right? He was in Pittsburgh, and he had a couple good games, if my memory serves me right.
He did.
So
and that would be a welcome sight because he's, right after the deadline, he was a pleasant surprise offensively.
Yep.
And then one more thing before, I just want to say Will Benson, since we actually had his first start since August 1st, we had that show on a Tuesday, September 9th. Since then, he's hitting 269 with 3 home runs, only behind Steer. And those guys, the power surges there have been huge. They haven't carried the offense. I'm not going to say that, but they've had some of the power that is a welcome sight because everyone knows this team doesn't hit a lot of home runs.
Yep.
But when they do, it goes a long way into helping the team win. So Will Benson back in the lineup here and left. But yeah, I'm pumped for. I think the lineup, I got no problems with it. I think it's fine. You got a lot of good options to pinch hit, like you mentioned, with a lefty coming in, and Andujar, Stevenson, Stewart. But yeah, I'll get into the pitching here because I know we're running a little on time. But as you see here, Brady Singer is the starting pitcher for the Reds, going up against Johan Oviedo of the Pirates. Want to touch on Singer first. On the season, he has 14 wins, which is actually tied 6th for most in Major League Baseball. Out of every pitcher, he has the 6th most wins, which blew my mind. That just shows you how deep into games he can go.
Yeah,
for a 4th or 5th starter. I mean, he gets deep into the games, especially the past 2 months, which he's been potentially the Reds' best pitcher. He's just been so
I'd love
hot.
to see him get 15 wins tonight. That would be big time.
That would be huge. And I mean, since August 1st, he's got 6-2, which they're coming to wins again, with a 2.28 ERA, 54 strikeouts, and 9 starts. So, sub 2.5 ERA and 9 starts. That's a pretty solid sample size there. And he's been as good as any Reds pitcher past 2 months. And like you said, hopefully getting that 15th win tonight. But I'm confident in Singer. I feel really good about him going into this. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, I think I would have him as my in my playoff rotation.
Yeah.
I mean, really, he's been the Reds' second best pitcher the back half of the year, after a couple clunkers coming out of the break, but he's been fantastic.
And then on the other side, you have Johan Oviedo, who I mentioned earlier. He missed all of 2024 and then a good chunk of 25. He came back in August. And in his this is 8th game coming back. In those 7 starts before that, he has I actually don't have his numbers up here, but he's just a guy who's got really good advanced numbers for the most part. I checked his Savant, and he's 98th percentile in extension. And you see a lot of the broadcasts talk about that, how that can be really deceiving. Guys, these long guys, they get on you quick. His 95 can play more like 97 or 98. So very deceiving guy. He was with the Cardinals a little bit. The Reds faced him a little bit there, but with the Pirates, struggled a little bit against the Reds. He's got over a 5 ERA against the Reds, but yeah, he's got a good arm, a lot of good advanced metrics. So going to be tough for the Reds offense here tonight, but I'm looking for these hot bats, Steer, Benson, to keep them going. And I feel good about the Reds' chances.
Yeah, I think the Reds, I'm not sure I'm using the word correctly here, Sam. So everyone bear with me. I get a little romantic about some of these, late fall interviews and watching things. And I was so young, in elementary school when the Red Sox came back and beat the Yankees.
Yeah.
And obviously Francona was the manager. And I love watching like the movies and the documentaries about that series. And some of the interviews and such of the Reds today are bringing me back to that, those movies, because these guys know what is going on right now. I think Francona has made it clear, and don't downplay, the Mike Napoli's of the world as well, who's been there, won a World Series. These players, they know. I saw an interview earlier of McLean and Green. They're locked in. These dudes are locked in. They know what's at stake. And if in the words of Kevin Millar, don't let us win tonight. Don't let us win tonight, because if they win tonight, I think they're going to try to get 4 in a row. This team could win 9 in a row going in, and then, who knows what happens. But I think they're trying to shut this down. They won't be able to shut it down before they get to Milwaukee, I don't think, unless, the Mets and the Diamondbacks crap the bed. But they're trying to get this done as soon as possible.
If the Reds do sweep and the Mets get swept, it actually would, I believe, eliminate the Mets.
Eliminate the Mets, yeah.
But then that depends on what
the Diamondbacks got swept. It would be the same thing, or if they lost 2 or 3.
But yeah, you mentioned how a lot of the players haven't been shy to say, they're as guilty as us as scoreboard watching. A lot of the guys in the bullpen say how they were looking at the Mets game, and then when they see the Nationals beat the Mets again, they just get that extra boost. So a lot of the interviews you see, I saw Lux's post game on Sunday. He says again, like, yeah, we're in this, we're locked in, and we're watching the Mets. We're keeping eyes on them, and so they're just like us. But I think they're just extra locked in. On social media, you've seen Lux and Abbott and all those guys, the pack GABP kind of trending. So they want everyone out in the ballpark. They want that playoff atmosphere, and I think they're going to get it tonight. I think we're going to have a good showing.
Yeah, I was going to say this. Austin throws in the chat. Anyone in the chat heading to GABP this series? Sam, you're going down tomorrow.
Yes.
I want to know if anyone is going down. If anyone's down there tonight, I want to see if anyone's down there today. I want to see how crowded this place is. For those who, live nearby, $8 tickets, $10 tickets. They're advertising the 8. The 10 is actually really what they're selling as well. 3-2-1 night, though that's a little overrated just for the lines, but I'm sure they'll have that spread across the ballpark. It's going to be fantastic no matter what. Obviously, even better if they win, but I'm sure it'll be a great environment no matter what. Sam, before we shut it down here, because I want to let everybody have enough time to go get their dinner, go get set up for the game here. It starts at 6:40 on the FanDuel Sports Network. I want to go through the options. I will go through and talk about, the records of what the Reds can do, but I want you to talk about the pitching matchups and who the Mets and the Diamondbacks are facing this week, and then the weekend if you have it. So let's talk about it, guys. We have 6 games left. The Mets have 6 games, the Reds have 6 games, and the Diamondbacks have 6 games left as well. Really what it comes down to, in my opinion, is if the Reds can go 4-2, they're all but locked in. If the Reds go 4-2, that means the Mets would have to go 5-1, and then Diamondbacks would have to go 6-0. I'm not saying those things can't happen, but I believe that if 4-2 is enough to lock this up. So let's take it down to 3-3. If the Reds go 3-3, which again, as we know, a 500 record this week, that means the Mets would have to go
4-2.
4-2, and then the Diamondbacks would have to go 5-1. So It's just, I think 4-2 all but locks you in. I think 3-3 is okay, but getting off on a good start and winning tonight is the most important thing. Sam, what I keep thinking about in my head when I think about the magic number and everything, do you remember the old game show Deal or No Deal?
Mm-hmm.
And Howie Mandel tells the girls to point at the boxes and they open them. Every game that we win, it's just another box is open.
Yeah.
And then every game the Mets lose, it's another box open. So shout out Deal or No Deal. No free ads. Sam, you go hit us with the pitching matchups, and we will close up the show and get ready for tonight's game.
Yeah. 4-2, that's just 2 series win. I just want to say that. So
exactly. Yep.
the Reds have 2 more series wins in them.
Or heck, sweep the Pirates and then go into Milwaukee and win Friday, and then you're ready to go.
Yeah. As everyone probably knows by now, the Mets play the Cubs. That game is nationally televised, so I'm going to be closely following that. I think it's TBS. But tonight, Cubs have their rookie pitcher, Cade Horton, going up against David Peterson. That's a pretty good matchup. That's a potential
good for the Reds.
Potential rookie of the year in Cade Horton going up against one of the Mets all-stars in Peterson. So
but he's not been pitching well lately.
Not been pitching well. Like a lot of pitchers, kind of falling off in the second half. A lot of innings, but Cade Horton's going for the Cubs, and they still need to win these games. They want to have home field against the Padres in that wild card series because I think Padres are 2.5 back of the Cubs, and the Padres, I believe they have the tiebreaker. So Cubs still have to play for a lot, so they're going to be going all out on this, and they've got their don't know if I want to call him the ace, but he's been their strongest guy this year when he's been called up. So Cade Horton. Then game 2, you've got rookie Jonah Tong for the Mets, who's struggled as of late, going up against Matthew Boyd, who another all-star, been awesome for the Cubs. So that's 2 tough pitchers the Mets are going up against. And then game 3, it is Noah McLean, the Mets newly called up. He's been their best pitcher versus Shota Imanaga, who came into the season as the Cubs ace, who the Reds just saw and beat this past series. So I think you couldn't handpick 3 better pitchers if you're the Cubs to go against the Mets and Horton, Boyd, and Imanaga. So I think that favors the Reds there, but you still have to win these games. That's all that matters. When the games
the Cubs are playing for home field advantage.
Yeah.
For the wild card series that they want to be hosting that wild card series at Wrigley instead of having to go to probably San Diego. Sam, what's our next series? Diamondbacks.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks are out west playing the Dodgers in Los Angeles, and they're going up against a gauntlet. I'll get into all 3, but first, game 1 tonight is Brandon Pfaadt versus Shohei Ohtani. That's tough for Diamondbacks facing Ohtani. He hasn't pitched all season, but when he's come back, his numbers have been pretty good as they're easing him in here, and that's going to be a tough matchup for them. Even though they're 1 game back and the Reds hold the tiebreaker, still have to be wary of what the D-backs do. And then tomorrow, it's going to be Ryan Nelson for the D-backs going up against 2-time Cy Young Blake Snell. Another tough matchup. And then lastly, it'll be Zach Gallen, who's in a little bit of a down year for the D-backs, going up against Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who's been all season the Dodgers' best guy. The Reds have seen that firsthand. He dominated the Reds earlier in the season, and he's got a filthy splitter. His fastball plays. It's got some crazy run at the end. But, again, that's the 3 guys the Dodgers would probably handpick if you're going into a series. So pitching definitely favors the Reds in these 2 series. Hoping for some Mets losses and some D-backs losses in this series. But if the Reds can win this game tonight, I feel really good getting that 6-game win streak and taking some pressure off for that Skeens, because it's just 2 series wins. If you get 2 series wins, your odds completely spike. That puts you at 4-2. Mets have to go 5-1 against a good Cubs team, and then a tricky Marlins team who
100%,
has been playing some of the best baseball in the second half.
Don't sleep on the Marlins, certainly. And I think that's how we play this. You just keep ticking away. I was talking to a friend of mine on Saturday morning about this. This is before the game. It's okay. You have 8 games left. And what if you won 10 in a row and it still wouldn't be enough? AKA the Mets, kept winning. Well, the Mets lost. We're here. We're at our spot. It's time to get down to the ballpark. It's time to root on these Reds. We can't give up on them now. We're playing playoff baseball without playoffs. Every game is a must win. And I think these Reds are ready to go and win the next 4 and put this to bed over the weekend. And they'll be celebrating in Milwaukee on Friday night. That's my prediction. Sam?
So
go ahead and sign us off.
Yeah, if you guys could, please like the stream and all the other pregame streams. Tune into the postgame show tonight. Hopefully it's a victory edition of the Chatterbox Reds postgame with Nick and Trace. If you're around the ballpark, if you can go to all these games, I know if you're going to this one, you're probably already there or on the way, but tomorrow, hopefully the rain stays away. It's looking like hopefully towards game time, it's going away a little bit. But yeah, cheer on these Reds, final homestand. Doesn't matter where you've been all season. I know Trace had that little monologue. We're all Reds fans, so let's cheer on this team. It's been a crazy year, but let's finish strong. And yeah, we got a good one tonight. Brady Singer hopefully gives us another gem. But until then, tune into the post-game show tonight. And yeah, Alex, we're here. We're doing it. And go Reds.
Go Reds.